Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Claw and the
That
King.
was so weak.
Was it?
That in comparison to my introductions, that was piss poor.
Look, in the influencer world, one thing I struggle with is doing those massive hyper, intro type things.
Well, yeah, I get that because that's just not you. You are probably the quietest person I've ever met. In terms of just you come out with brilliant one-liners. Don't get me wrong. You know when to speak up, but in general life, you've just got that vibe of yep, yep. So
what type of vibe is that?
it's just I'm kind of like that, but I don't know. I feel easier putting it on. You're very real with your emotions, and I commend you for that. Anyways, we're here to talk about the world of sport. Massive news. Obviously, we couldn't post last week. My computer corrupted a file. It was an all-time great, in our opinion.
It was. Very disappointing.
I think, out of sadness, RIP, you should subscribe, but that's by the by. You can do that at a later date.
Well, preferably this date, but
preferably this date. So, I'm assuming you want to sort of hit the big boy news first, to do with the NBA. Damian Lillard, blockbuster trade that, funny enough, Shams, he's in the mud at the moment.
He posted him to Toronto.
Yeah, posted him to. He's been in the mud all summer. Woj is clear. He's officially clear
Charizard's
of that
in trouble.
fraud. Shams, no. But yeah, a blockbuster trade. Really interesting. I think a lot of people are seeing this. I'll just do a quick opinion on it before you sort of break it down. A lot of people are saying it's a massive win for Milwaukee, and obviously it will help Giannis stay, and that's true. But for me, I have such a man crush on Drew Holiday, not in a sexual sense, in a basketball sense. Just the way he plays is so.
I've never heard this Drew Holiday crush before.
I love watching Drew. I don't know what it is. It's just the way he plays defense. Sometimes he can stink it up at offense, but defensively, I've never seen a guy be that good on the ball. You see guys that are known for defense, but they're a bit lazy and they just have a couple plays here and there and they're good in the passing lanes and shit like that. This guy, as an on-ball defender, I've never seen a guard be that dominant in terms of... no one can get past him.
Well, Jimmy Butler did destroy him in the playoffs.
I know, he does have bad moments, but you'll watch him sometimes and he's just the best player on the court with Giannis there. And I think, and he was massive in their finals and championship run, so it's a tough trade to swallow for me personally, because I don't think it's great.
For Milwaukee.
It's not. Well, actually, no, I rephrase. I don't think it's tough to swallow. I think it's the move that they should be making. If you get offered that, if you're Milwaukee, you got to take it. But yeah, it's just, I think Drew Holiday is the second best player on that team, and it's just going to be tough for them to adjust. I think it's going to take a bit of time for those guys to adjust. But look, they've got defensive ability in spades, so that they can, risk giving away a top-tier defender, because they've got, even though they're a bit on the older side, you've got Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton, Bobby Portis is very good defensively. They've got really good defensive players, so I don't hate the move. I think the fit's probably one of the best it could have been in terms of Dame's destinations. But yeah, obviously it's not Miami, and he's going from, he wants to go to Miami, but he's going to fucking Milwaukee. But look, I think it's a win. It is a win for Milwaukee, but because of how much I like Drew Holiday, I don't think it's as big of a win as other people are saying.
I think it's a massive win for Milwaukee. It probably is a bit of a downgrade on the defensive end, but offensively, it is a major upgrade. Drew Holiday can be a brick at times offensively. He can be good as well, but he's in the playoffs. I'm not really trusting him to lead the offense. And we've seen last year and in previous years before Milwaukee won the championship, Giannis did struggle in the playoffs offensively. People would just wall him up and he wouldn't perform as well as he did in the regular season. And the one way you can stop that is by spacing the floor. And Damian Lillard, apart from Steph Curry, is the best floor spacer in the NBA. So I think it's a perfect fit for the team. I think it'll unlock Giannis. Obviously, we've never seen Dame play with someone as good as Giannis, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But I think they're immediately favourites in the East. Potentially even the NBA right now. I think it's just a perfect fit. And Drew Holiday, I didn't know you had this man crush, but he's 33.
So is Dame.
Yeah, but like defense falls off before offense, I'd say. So look, Portland have got Drew, right? And who else they get? Aiden?
Yeah. I can run through the trade. Do you think it's a win?
I think it's a loss for Portland, massive loss.
Oh, how so?
Well, they gave up their best franchise player of all time, and they got Drew Holiday, who they want to trade apparently already, and DeAndre Ayton, who's a mid-center. They gave up Nurkic as well. So, and I don't think Drew Holiday's trade value will be that high, if I'm honest. I think a one-on-one swap for Tyler Hero is something they could be looking at, which is what they didn't want to do originally, is get a player like Tyler Hero. They weren't interested in him in the Miami trade. And now, I don't think many people are going to give players and picks for Drew Holiday. So
yeah. Well, look, I can break down the trade. So, Drew Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, Kamara, a 2029 unprotected Milwaukee pick, first. An unprotected first for 2029 for Milwaukee, and unprotected swap rights in 2028 and 2030 to the Blazers. So that's all going to the Blazers. So they get Drew Holiday and DeAndre Ayton. I don't hate the Ayton move. Look, he needed a place where he's going to be the focal point. He's going to be loved by or at least liked by the coach. Phoenix got Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Nasir Little, and Keon Johnson, and obviously Portland get Dame Lillard. I don't love it for Phoenix. The Nurkic one seems a bit bizarre. I don't mind Grayson Allen. They did need to add to their depth. So Grayson Allen, Nasir Little do that. They're good defensive options, especially off the bench, but I don't get Nurkic.
He's a downgrade on Ayton.
He's injury prone as hell. Ayton, look, you can argue Ayton's bad defensively or switches off. Nurkic is no better.
Nurkic is just immobile, so
yeah, he's a bit of he's on the heavier side, we will say, but yeah, I like it. It depends what Portland are going to do with Drew, because you'd imagine they'd trade him.
Yeah, well, apparently they want to. So,
but I mean, the problem with doing that is that everybody knows that you want to trade him, so his value is immediately diminished. Now, if I'm the Clippers, I want to be in that. If we're making a move for James Harden, I'd much rather go for Drew Holiday. Personally, I think he's a better fit.
That would be a good fit.
And I think the Clippers should be in those sweepstakes, and I'd absolutely love that. But yeah, it'll be
maybe we could trade Russell for him.
Russell who?
D'Angelo Russell.
Oh, I thought you meant Russell Westbrook. I thought he was still on the Lakers. I got
You've
flashback.
got Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot. Fuck. I got to watch him play. No. Can we trade Russ? No. Look, to be fair to Russell Westbrook, he did play pretty solid for us. But, I mean, everyone knew that he would once PG and Kawhi were out for the playoffs. Because if you give Russ the ball and give him no other responsibility and just, mate, you can cook. You don't have to pass the ball. He'll do absolutely fine. So, yeah. Look, I don't think the Lakers really have enough assets or really have the desire, because I think
our squad's loaded right now. We've had a great offseason.
So, yeah, well, look, Dame Lillard to Milwaukee, I think, is relieving for me as a Clippers fan. He's not going to like a Golden State. He's going to the East. It's another, talent moving from the West to the East, so that helps the Western Conference teams. But, yeah, interesting trade. I don't think there's any clear losers. Milwaukee gave up a lot, in my opinion, like I've said, but if you get a guy like Dame Lillard, he can have nights where he's just single-handedly carrying the offense, and maybe in a team like that, you needed that. I mean, Middleton has been injury-prone and inconsistent offensively. Giannis, obviously, is arguably the best player in the league at this point. But yeah, you probably did need a second fiddle that was more consistent, and that's going to be the interesting point, actually. Who's going to be the number one guy in that offense?
Well, I think Giannis will be happy to hand off to Dame in at least the clutch moments. I think you could see something similar to when Jimmy was in Philly, where it's Embiid through the first three quarters and then Jimmy in the fourth. I think it could be something similar to where it's Giannis the first three and Dame in the fourth. Just because of the shooting, it's much more valuable in clutch moments, I'd say. But yeah, I feel like Giannis is not, like, he seems like an unselfish guy to me. I feel like he'll be happy to lessen the load a little bit if it means he can win a championship.
Yeah, look, I have no doubts about that. It's just, it's not about ego, but it's just about comfortability. I mean, Dame knows Giannis is a better player than him at this point in his career. Even though he's used to being the number one option throughout 4 quarters. Now, yeah, he'll get the clutch time moments, but Giannis will still get, in my opinion, he'll still get the majority of the touches. And is that going to be tough for Dame, who throughout his entire career has been the guy, apart from when, his rookie year, essentially, when LaMarcus was still an elite player. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm really sort of intrigued to watch how they sort of fit together. But, look, it's tougher for me. And I'm not saying that it was a bad trade for them, but I still, if they kept the same roster, I still put them as favourites in the East. And maybe they want a more definite chance, or they want to take a bigger risk to sort of have a bigger potential to win that championship. But yeah, it's a weird trade. It's always weird when a top contender trades away their second best player. Even you could obviously they're getting a better player in return offensively, but it's weird when you shake up an elite team. It's a weird feeling. You never know how it's going to go, but most people have faith that, even though Dame's injury prone at this point in his career, but
yeah,
look, we'll see, and hopefully it turns out, because I think Milwaukee is liked by a lot of people, including me, because obviously the Clippers are an absolute shit show every year, no matter what. So I'm always sort of not rooting for Milwaukee, but hoping that they do well and advance. So yeah, I'm intrigued. They'll be a very entertaining team this year.
Yeah, and biggest loser out of the whole situation is definitely the Heat. They were all in on this trade, and now they're slightly fucked. So they've basically just lost Vincent and Strus this offseason for nothing. So look, you can harp on how bad Strus was in the finals, but he got them there.
He got them there. He was elite in the playoffs, except for the finals. Same with Vincent. Was arguably their best player in some of those games in the finals and in the playoffs. So, yeah, I think it's a tough one for the Heat to swallow. And they're a significantly worse team, and it's going to be, I think, similar to after they made the finals last time, and they just got knocked out first round. So I think it's going to be a similar situation. I think there is some positive around it, because they get to keep Hero and kind of develop him.
But Hero's probably pissed off now.
Well, he's pissed off, but he'll get reassurances that he's the future of the franchise, where, he wouldn't get that in many other places, especially in a big market like Miami. So, yeah, I think the Heat lost, but it was a gutsy move anyway, and they just didn't have the assets at the end of the day, in my opinion. If they would have, kept Strus and Vincent and did like a sign and trade during free agency for Lillard, that could have been more appealing. But Hero just wasn't enough by himself. And what other assets are you going to give up? They're not going to give up Bam. They're not going to give up Jimmy, obviously. So I think they're a bit of a pickle. Even though Dame clearly, helped them out so much by basically excluding the rest of the league to go to the Heat. So yeah, look, I think Dame probably isn't thrilled that he's not at Miami, but I think he's also recognizing that, shit, okay, look, I didn't go to fucking Miami with all the Latino women and the beaches, and I'm going to a shithole, but at least it's, the best team in the league, arguably, at this point. Yeah. So he can have faith in that, and hopefully he doesn't, create any drama and say, oh, I'm not playing or whatever. Hopefully he just is happy there and thrives there in a good basketball environment.
Yes, we shall see how it proceeds. It'll be one of the most interesting storylines to start the season, at least. But yeah, I guess that closes the NBA chat for now. We'll shift to NRL. Obviously, grand final this week, Panthers Broncos. In the last show, we obviously talked about this a lot, but it didn't come out. So, but basically, I think what we predicted was that Panthers and the Broncos would both win quite easily, and that's what happened.
Bold prediction of the year. Well, yeah. Now we kind of fucked up with the podcast last time in terms of, well, the computer did. Now we can talk about the Daly Ms and the shock of it. I mean, I was completely and utterly bewildered at the fact that Kalen Ponga won that thing. I'm sorry to sort of sidetrack there.
It showed the glaring issues with the system.
It's bizarre. I mean, and there was controversy around the Brownlow for the AFL. because I couldn't give a rat's ass about the AFL.
He was
frankly,
not one of the favourites.
but he probably shouldn't have won it from what I'm hearing from people that do watch it. And yeah, it's the same problem. I just think it's such a flawed system because it's rewarding players that very good players, but it's rewarding players that play in bad teams but play well.
Yeah.
It's not like if you play in a good team and you're still one of the best performers in the league, that's still a good achievement. That you should still be sort of in the running. But players like, Nathan Cleary are never going to get...
Yeah, like he's probably the best player of his generation, and he
will never probably win it. It's such a bizarre award and how it's sort of done. And I get it. It's probably more entertaining than an NBA or a football sort of award show because there's more anticipation. It's more of I don't want to say it's a game, but it's like it's a little more exciting finding out the live results and votes. It's a very sort of enthralling experience, but I just don't think it's as fair as it should be. And you could say that it's also flawed in the NBA because guys on good teams are skewed higher, and it's more of a popularity contest than anything, and it's more of like Jokic could have arguably won the MVP last year, but no one would have voted for him because you don't want to vote for a guy.
LeBron should have 8 MVPs right now.
Yeah, well, it's the problem with with American systems in terms of MVP voting is it lets bias in. Now, this system doesn't let bias in, but it does.
The people who are doing the votes might be biased.
Yeah, but I couldn't believe that he won. Kalen Ponga was talked about in the first half of this season, was saying, oh, what a bad signing it was to get him back. He's floundering at 5'8". He was a shit show. And the Knights were a shit. It wasn't his fault all, but he couldn't tackle a barn door. He was awful in terms of his defensive ability. He was unbelievable second half of the year, but you should be rewarded for your whole season. And Sean Johnson single-handedly led that Warriors team, which was essentially the same team that it was the prior year, other than the coach, who obviously had a massive impact as well. The exact same team, essentially. And he's, led it single-handedly to a preliminary final.
Yeah. Well, Ponga essentially won the whole thing just off an 8-week stretch of form at the end of the year where he got 6 votes in every game. This year they changed it to 6 votes instead of 3 votes per game, which I think didn't really work because you see someone like Sean Johnson who's consistent every week, but he's not like scoring hat-tricks and all that. So he would pick up 1 or 2 points in a lot of games, where in previous years, Kalen would only get 3 when Johnson would get 2, but this year he got 6. So it's like 4 points difference in one game is massive.
Yeah.
And that's sort of how he came back at the end, where Johnson was getting a lot.
I was seeing it like at round 20 and Dylan Edwards was winning it, and I'm like, fuck no.
Well, yeah, Scotty Drink came 4th.
It's like
what? Nico Hines was like 3rd or something.
It's just...
And that was the thing with the Panthers. Like, we had Cleary, Yo, and Edwards are all in the top 10.
But Fanua Blake was high for the Warriors. I think that's what screwed Sean Johnson as well.
So it's basically to win the Daly M. Like we saw with Jack Wyan, with Tom Trbojevic, you need to be an incredible player on a shit team. Yeah, pretty much.
Which, look, it's cool that that's sort of incorporated, and that sort of, that's a main facet of winning this award. But, like, it just diminishes the impact that others have. And I don't like it how it's, punishing players for being surrounded by good players. It's the cream of the crop. If it was its own award, if that was a separate award and the player of the year or the MVP was a different award, I wouldn't hate it. But it's just like, it's such a flawed system, and I think it showed in both the AFL and NRL over this week. So
yeah, and it's also like it's not a locked in, but essentially it is a positional award. Like if you're not a spine player, you can't win the Daly M. Yeah. And in the AFL, if you're not a midfielder, you can't win the Brownlow. Yeah. So it's just skewed towards those types of players to win it every year. That's why everyone was so excited about Payne Haas saying, a forward might actually win it for once.
No, but he's surrounded by too many good players who put in superstar performances. Like, if it wasn't skewed like that, he probably could have put a shift in for it. But yeah, it's just a flawed system, and hopefully it gets fixed.
Yeah.
Personally,
Another thing with the team of the year, how the fuck did Brian Toto not make it?
How did Taruva win the fucking rookie of the year? That's the big question.
No, there was no good rookies. He should have won.
Buller wasn't a good rookie.
Buller debuted halfway through the season.
He single-handedly changed. I don't care if he debuted 2 games before
And his form was dodgy at the end.
No, without him, the Tigers were a joke. People were saying that they wouldn't win a game all year.
Yeah, they barely did.
Yeah, but when he played, he was the best player on the pitch. Not on the...
Appy was the best player.
No. I mean, maybe, but I wouldn't even say that. I think if you ask Tigers fans, they would 100% Buller was their best player this year.
Well, I mean, Taruva played pretty much every game, played well.
But he's in an elite team, and yeah, he did his job, but was there anything that Taruva... and he did great, he had a great rookie year, but was there anything that you saw from him where he's wow, that's an elite player? You saw Dream Buller absolutely be elite at times and just change the point scoring ability of his entire team. His team, they were not generating any points whatsoever until he came in and he had a massive, massive impact. He was runaway rookie of the year for me. And what about the Gold Coast winger who literally broke the Gold Coast... the Titans, who broke the Titans record in tries, but wasn't even a finalist for it.
Well, I mean, there was a lot of good wingers, to be fair. Dom Young didn't get it. Fucking Asako. He scored a lot of tries, but he's not that good. And then who was the other one?
No clue.
Oh, fuck. That's 4.
Well, I didn't care about the team of the year more. But yeah, Brian Torres should have made it, but I was more on the individual awards. Webster won the coach. Was it?
I mean, and
you can't hate it.
You can't hate it. I mean, he did take them from 15th to 4th, but obviously I'm a Panthers fan, and Ivan Cleary has been to 4 straight grand finals, and he's never won a coach of the year. So, it's a most improved award. It's not. But a best coach award.
But that's with any awards in any competition. If you have the best players as a coach, you're never going to win the coach of the year.
Yeah, but he's created the system.
Well, yeah, I don't disagree, but it's just unless no one else there's no other candidates for it, you're just not going to win it. So yeah, interesting awards.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll move on to previewing the game now. How do you want to do it? Do you want to go player comparison or?
I reckon, in terms of what the awards.
No, the grand final.
Oh, I reckon we quickly recap the prelims.
Okay.
Because obviously the Panthers game, who gives a fuck? I mean, they were going to win. But the Panthers Storm, did anyone think that the Storm were going to win that game? No. And they got fucking demolished, like everyone expected. But the other game, the Panthers Warriors, was, with that forward pass, it was probably
Broncos.
I've never seen a pass more forward. Even the ones that are called forward, I can't think of a pass that's so blatant. And it's obvious what happened. The touch judge wasn't ready, and he was way too slow for Reece Walsh. And you could see it. He's behind him by a country mile, so he has no clear viewpoint of the pass. But even then, if you're standing behind the goalpost at the other end, you could see that was forward, and you could call that a forward pass. The one angle, not even the side-on angle's bad, but that one angle where it's slow-mo, and it's kind of in front of it, and you could just see his hands are going, say he's right there, or say, we'll do this, say that's straight, his hands are going right there, and he's just passing the ball, and it's it's such a shocker. And then the next pass is forward as well, but you can't really call that a forward pass because the other one's such a blatant one that you're I'm a bit incompetent.
Well, they don't really call those last passes forward when 50% of those passes I reckon are forward when people make breaks like that and pass back on the inside, but they never call it. So, but yeah, the Walsh one was bad, and obviously that ref got fucked off for the grand final. So Adam G's been appointed
Mr. Panther himself.
Mr. Panther himself, and so he's basically everyone's he's literally just the last ref standing because Ashley Klein got fucked off the week before. Well, this guy got fucked off this week.
Coincidence? I think not. The Panthers get a fucking bullshit ref that gives them a win every single game.
To be fair, we don't lose many games, so
but 16 out of 17. That's poor. That's not a coincidence. That's some money on the line.
We'd have to investigate the stats more, like who we were playing, all these sorts of things. But, so he's never reffed a game with a crowd of more than 40,000 before. Oh. So this is like by far the biggest game he's had, and you can just see. I can see that he's going to shit his pants at some point. And there's going to be, and because
it's going to be Panthers just giving everything
on Fox on 360 this week. Obviously, Krul's brought up the fact that we block on the kickers. We block the
I did see
runners.
that.
Yeah, and so now that's going to be a focus, and they're going to. I promise you, he's going to call a penalty for that. And when it hasn't been a penalty the entire year, so
but you do manipulate.
But every
rules.
team does it.
No, you do it to a different level.
No, every team does it.
I mean, you're very good at it, but the game against Melbourne where they highlighted multiple ones where Yo was like,
he moves a millimeter. It's not like we're prime Melbourne where we're ripping people's heads in half on the ground.
Well, look, yeah, I think it's interesting, but yeah. Anyway, grand final. I reckon we just do an overall preview. It's not that. We could go play for player, but you know, it's it's not that. I mean, we already know who's on who, and look, for me personally, it's a tough one to call. I think before the finals even started, we both said these two teams were getting to they're just so far ahead of everyone else in the competition. It's a tough one to call. I want Brisbane to win, but I just don't think they will. It's tough. I'm not saying because G's a ref, but like, it's so tough to pick against Penrith at the moment. It's just so tough. I want Brisbane to win not more than anything, but I want Brisbane to win badly.
Imagine wanting a Queensland team to win.
Yeah, but the Panthers are so unlikable. It's like
they're pretty likable, I think.
And I'm too young to like remember when the Broncos were like dominant, so it's not really an impact for me. It doesn't really make any sort of thing for me. But yeah, I don't like the Broncos, but like there's no way I'd ever be wanting Penrith to win ever. They're the most cocky, arrogant. I mean, fair play. If you win and you're not cocky and arrogant, what the fuck are you doing? But if you're not supporting that team, you're going to not like them. I think a lot of your players are grubs, personally.
Only Luai's a grub, really.
Crichton's a fucking grub.
Crichton's not a grub.
Yes, he is. Let's be real, he's a grub. Fisher Harris is like a likable grub. Like you're a prop.
He's not a grub. He just plays hard.
Yeah, that's what everyone said about Jared.
No, everyone said Jared's a fucking grub. Nobody ever said Jared just plays hard.
I think people do. Explicitly me. But yeah, I think it's a tough one to call, but I'm going to go Penrith to win.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think everyone's talking about the battle of the forwards in Fisher Harris, Leota and Yo versus Carrigan, Flegler and Haas, and that's going to decide who wins. I mean, everyone always says, like Joey always says, the forwards decide who wins, the backs decide by how much. And a lot of people are picking Brisbane's forwards because obviously Payne Haas is regarded as the best prop in the world right now. Carrigan just won Lock of the Year. So, look, it's an intriguing battle. Obviously, I'm going to pick the Panthers, 13 plus, but it is intimidating. Like Reece Walsh, he's probably the scariest player in attack, I'd say, right now in the league. And one thing I am worried about is Tago. He looked fucking shit against Olam.
Wow.
And Olam's not playing well.
Olam was dropped.
Yeah. And like Tago missed about 4 or 5 tackles on him, just cold. So I'm slightly worried about that because that was his first game back from a pec injury. So I don't think...
Well, Herbie Farnworth is a big one if he can make it back.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So I'm slightly worried about Herbie on Tago. But it's like, can you throw Peachy in there in a grand final? I think you got to go with Tago.
Can you imagine the Peach? That's a comeback story for the league. Just rotting away in Gold Coast, just in the clubs, just fucking doing whatever, not even playing, and then he just comes back to the Panthers, starts a grand final against arguably one of the best centers in the league.
Yeah. Well,
redemption story.
But yeah, hopefully Tago can come good. And Ivan did swap. He swapped Crichton to the other side, I think to help Luai because he was worried about Luai's shoulder. And Crichton is just fucking incredible. I can't believe how good he's got defensively and offensively. He's just easy.
You sad you're losing him?
I'm extremely sad. because 2 years ago everyone was saying he was overrated when he like first got into Origin and stuff, and he probably was then. But similar to like what I used to say about Joey Manu, Crichton is easily the best center in the world right now. His all-round game is fucking amazing. So that will be a sad loss, but we got Taylor May coming in next year. We got Dane Laurie back. We got Peachy. So
Dane Laurie.
Yeah.
Wow, what a replacement.
Well, that's actually a great signing because he can play anywhere in the back line, and he's not gonna be in the starting team probably. So that's fucking a pretty good reserve to have. The Tigers' best player 2 years ago. So look, we're gonna be good in terms of the grand final. I think we'll be too strong, but again, it wasn't super convincing against the Storm. They did bomb 3 tries, so I wasn't like, oh yeah, we're gonna dominate the Broncos here. But 3 in a row experience matters. I think we get it done.
I don't think it does matter. I think that
grand final experience matters. You see Parramatta last year, they fucked it.
Yeah, but that's because that's Parramatta. That's different. I think grand final experience I don't think matters too much, especially when you've got the kind of characters that the Broncos have. They've got, you don't have to, like, Reynolds has won grand finals.
Yeah, one.
Well, yeah, but it's more about players that can elevate in big games and not be sort of faulted by pressure. And obviously Penrith are used to it, so they're not going to be faulted by it. But I think, Brisbane with their players, I don't think they're going to, back down. And look, you could argue they've had an easy-ish run to the final, but that's what you get for being an elite team.
We've both had the same run. We both pumped the Warriors and the Storm. They just crossed over sides.
Yeah, so you could argue the run was a bit easier, but look, they've got such an elite team. And what you said about the forwards decide, I don't think it's necessarily that going to be that important. Obviously, yeah, it matters if you play well, but I think they're so neck and neck. It's just going to be. I don't think there's going to be much to split the forwards in terms of who's going to dominate who. But I think it's all about the big moments because of how tight these teams are. Are you going to, put it into the, with, 10 minutes to go, are you going to kick it, if the scores are tight, are you going to kick it dead for a 20-minute restart, or are you going to drop it perfectly in the in goal?
Well, Cleary doesn't kick it
well,
dead.
yeah, it's about big moments. It's if you're going to make a mistake or if you're not going to make a mistake in the big moments. So I think that's the most important thing. So with these games, whatever any expert says, or this team's guaranteed going to win, it's just a fucking blind pick because nobody knows. No, not even nobody involved with those teams knows who's going to win. It's all about, like I said, big moments. And if luck falls your way one play or luck doesn't fall your way another play, it's all about those moments. So yeah, I'm hoping Brisbane can win, but I think it's just Penrith. I think Penrith probably by 8, I'd imagine, which doesn't sound like just, but I think it will be probably a 2-point game until they score like a try with like 5 minutes to go, and then which ices it. So that's probably my prediction, but yeah, you never know.
Yeah, I'll go 13. No, I want to say 13 plus, but
you can't go 30. That's a silly.
Why?
Because there's no way that you're scoring that. They're really underrated defensively, Brisbane. I
don't know.
They're such a good team. There's no way it's 13 plus.
Fine. Go Crichton to score. He's scored in every grand final so far. This will be his 4th grand final in a row he scores. Clive, who you go for Clive?
That's a good one. A lot of people are going Cleary.
Shock.
Yeah, fucking great. Bold pick that one.
I did win a bit of money on Cleary winning a Clive a couple of years ago.
I might go Crichton, I think Crichton could be a cheeky.
Even. I've seen a couple of people, or not a couple, but the Hello Sport boys picking Toto.
Yeah, I could have gone Toto.
Last year,
between those two for me.
But I don't think a winger's ever won it. And last year Toto ran for 300 metres and scored 2 tries, and he still didn't win. Yeah, like Edwards won it. So, look, I don't know.
Well, yeah, again, if, Crichton or Toto score a big try, to win the game, they're going to be definitely in the consideration for it. It's just about when they sort of make those impacts.
I just think if we win the game, I think Cleary will probably win it because he's just so involved in the team. And they tend to just give those types of awards to the biggest players if they have a decent game.
Yeah.
But yeah, see how it goes. Hopefully the boys can get it done 3 in a row, and then we never have to have that debate about the Roosters versus Panthers team ever again.
I'll still put it up there that the Roosters had a better player for player than those Panthers team. I will still put that there. I will still, no matter if you win or not, I'm still going to say that the Roosters player for player was a better team.
No, you're losing credibility.
I'm not losing credibility. Oh, look, I'm saying as a team, you probably play better and you're able to retain such great form while losing key players. But the prime Roosters with Cronk, Keary, Latrell, Manu, just prime Tedesco. That there's no way you're coming close to that team. So, personally, in terms of like talent, play for player, I don't think any team comes close to that team. And that obviously that's bias playing a factor in that, but obviously, and the Panthers play unbelievable and so efficient as a team. But in terms of player for player, and the talent, the whole talent of the team, I just don't think any team comes close.
A team with Dylan Edwards cannot be beat.
Dylan Edwards,
the most talented
who's better,
man
prime
ever.
Tedesco or prime Dylan Edwards?
Prime Dylan Edwards, I'd say.
Yeah,
Pretty comfortable.
You can't
as
even
well.
get in the team when it's not even prime Tedesco. So I mean,
What, New South Wales?
Yeah, or Australia.
That's because Freddy. Oh, here we go. Breaking news. Did you hear this?
No.
Brad Fittler has quit.
I did hear this on the drive home.
He has quit.
Bizarre. It would.
Hallelujah.
I mean, hallelujah. Thank the Lord. But I thought it was like he was negotiating to and it was sort of nailed on. Like he was getting Phil Gould in. I thought they were he was trying to stay, and then all of a sudden like that, he's like, "Nah, I'm out."
Yeah. So I think he gave the New South Wales board his pitch for what he wanted to do next year, and then they said they were meant to announce yesterday, I think, that they were keeping him on.
Yeah.
And so they said, look, we're sort of caught off guard by the fact that you fired your whole team here. We're going to take some time to think about it. So I think he's just gone, oh, well, fuck you then, I'm out of here. Because I think he was expecting them to announce him straight away, but they said, give us some time to think about it.
Which they should be if you're hired on the spot after losing 3 or 4 Origins to a team that's worse than you should not be like, you're hired, buddy. Get re-signed.
Yeah.
They need to consider it. Now, I think it was the right decision that they should have let him go. Now, would it have been different if Gus Gould is back in there and, it's a bit
Gus is washed.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows that, but
everyone that says he's still that guy, he's not that guy anymore. Let's be honest.
Could you imagine the locker room speech? Could you imagine?
I'd rather him do a Channel 9 speech.
Well, those channels, nothing comes close to that. I mean, in terms of inspirational, if I've got a big moment in my life, I need to prepare for. If I've got a big meeting or I need to Gus Gould. That's before HSC, Gus Gould. That's what gets you motivated.
Oh, well, did it work very well?
No, it didn't, because he has no clue what he's fucking talking about. But yeah, I can't believe he's gone. But who are they going to get to replace him is the question. I don't think anyone is predicting that. I don't know what the odds are. Are you going to create your own betting line on that, or what's the go?
Hopefully, the New South Wales board might watch this episode.
Yeah, they're avid listeners.
Look, honestly, I'll tell you this much: I won't pick Tavita Pengai Jr.
Well, good, mate. Because he's no longer an NRL player.
He's now retired after his experience in Origin. So, look, maybe he performs well in boxing, and we can get him back in there somehow. We can convince him to come out of retirement because he was that impactful.
Yeah, convince the NRL to change those boxing rules. We could get a good punch on.
Yeah. But, this is great news. Obviously, I said it would be hard for me to support New South Wales if that guy's still the coach. He's just had way too many chances, way too many mistakes. It's just not good enough at that level.
Well, look, my personal opinion in terms of new coach, I've just thought about it. Why don't we get Ricky in?
Look, people have said that, but he coaches the Raiders. So
yeah, but what are you doing coaching the Raiders at this point? You have
you want
nothing.
him to leave the Raiders?
Yeah, your Jack Wyden is gone. You've got a bunch of good forwards and 0 backs in Canberra. You're living in Canberra, dude. You can fucking quit.
The danger of that is, I think he loves all the Raiders boys, so we could see a lot more Hudson Youngs. We could see a lot more.
Oh no,
a lot more Raiders players in the team.
God,
but
who else would they? Who would they pick though? They've got no
Jared Croker.
Oh, Jared. God, could you imagine?
Jamal Fogarty, is he New South Wales? I don't know.
No, he's probably a Queenslander. God, who would they pick?
Kotrick, he can come
Oh,
back.
no, not Kotrick. God. What's going on? I mean, could you imagine? It couldn't get any worse if that happened, but...
Yeah, they actually don't have a lot of New South Welshmen in the team.
It's very... Obviously, my mind jumped to, like, Rapana, but obviously he can't.
Yeah, they got a lot of Kiwis and Queenslanders and Englishmen. Yeah. They're a diverse team.
They are diverse, which hopefully will stop him from getting Canberra Raiders players in there, so...
Yeah, I think... I don't know who is the best option, but...
I think he is. Personally, I think he's a great coach. He has experience coaching, obviously, at the Origin level and high levels within NRL. He's a motivator. Players love to play for him. And I think he can wear a team down, even though he's a good coach. I think because he's so intense over like a NRL season and over like a number of years, that's probably the reason why he's bounced around a lot, because it gets too intense over a long period of time. But over a 3-game span, I think he'd do wonders.
What about like Trent Barrett? Doesn't have a coach.
I'd rather die.
I know he's been bad as an NRL coach, but maybe...
What are you talking about? The guy, his teams couldn't score a point. It was embarrassing. Okay, he went to 2 jobs and he sucked.
Yeah, but in Origin, like Freddy sucked as an NRL. Oh, he sucked at New South Wales as well. So, okay, what about Boyd Cordner?
I think it's an option, but
it'd be good.
It's similar to the Fittler option. Like, I love Boyd, but it's similar to the Fittler option. It's just picking a legend because it's
but he's been doing some stuff at the Roosters since he's retired, some coaching stuff. Oh, what about one of the Morris boys or the Morris boys together?
Oh, that's a bit of saucy action
because they seem very intelligent.
Could it be a good cop bad cop situation? One of them comes in, you don't know which one's spraying you,
and you don't know if his name is Josh or Brett.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a conundrum. We just confuse the Queenslanders. There's no idea who's the coach. Yeah, you know, when I was a kid, I thought that they were the same person, but they just played for different teams.
So you've done a flight reacts with the Morris brothers.
Yeah, I literally thought when I was like 9 or 10 years old, I literally thought that there was just one player that played for the Dragons and the Bulldogs. I just thought he played for 2 teams.
Right.
But yeah, I don't think that would work. The double whammy there. I don't know. It's a tough one to think about because you obviously want a guy with NRL experience, but those guys are getting lapped up for, the head coaches. Shane Flanagan would have been an option before he went to...
Yeah.
I think that would have been a good option, obviously.
Anthony Griffin, freshly sacked?
No. God, no. They got all the fucking inspiration of a turd, that guy. I mean...
He is boring.
I just don't really... It'd be a tough
Joey.
one.
I mean, people would probably love Joey to do it, but
yeah, I don't.
Or Matty. I think Matty would be the.
No, have you seen him try and talk on 360? God, he's fumbling over every word. Like, I love Matty and his show, best NRL show out there. But I think
what about Braith,
The Bachelor.
Nick Ennis could do it.
God, could you imagine?
We're not short of candidates.
Get that fucking sharp ass hairline, the 1-inch hairline on the sidelines with Mickey boy. I don't know. I'd want someone with experience. I'd want someone that has recent experience. It's no good having a guy that coached 20 years ago who has no fucking clue about modern play styles and all that jazz. So, yeah, look, I'd probably want to hear what their candidates are, like who they're interviewing, and then sort of gauge what the best option is from that. But right off the top of my head, I think Ricky would be the guy for me. And look, could he manage both? Could he do Canberra and State of Origin?
I mean, yeah, I feel like it's not really that hard to do State of Origin. Like, you just pick the team, which takes 10 minutes, really, and then you coach them for a week.
Yeah, I agree, but it is also during the middle of an NRL season. So the Canberra Raiders would not be 2 players that he's just sacking off a couple of weeks of the year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, look, glad that he's gone. Thank the fucking Lord. Hopefully we can win a series now, so that's good to hear. But it's going to be interesting. I'm intrigued to see who becomes the new head coach.
Yeah, it is exciting times for the state. The dynasty is back on. Obviously, we were meant to win 9 in a row previously. That obviously has gone to shit. But now 9 in a row
because we lost to the worst Queensland team of all time. Fantastic job. We had Gutho in the centres. I mean, it just brings back harsh memories. That does. I mean, we've lost 3 of the last 4 as well. It's not like we've been swelled the past 2 years.
One thing we can say is Freddy's given a few guys a go at Origin. He's given a lot of people a chance to play State of Origin.
That nobody else on the planet would have given them the chance.
He's made some people's dreams come true, at the very least.
It's like a Make-A-Wish guy.
Yeah, pretty much. At times it felt like that. But yeah, I guess we'll leave the NRL chat for there. I think moving on to the biggest sporting news, I think, of the week, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. I'm joking.
I love how he knows an NFL player now because Taylor Swift is dating her.
Are they officially dating?
Yeah.
Are they?
It's the talk of the town, mate. If you knew...
I know, I've seen a lot of stuff about it. But I thought it was just rumours.
Well, I know, there's like a trend on TikTok where like girls are like triggering their like NFL watching boyfriends, say like, oh, you know, Taylor Swift made Travis Kelce. He's like, no, Travis Kelce was an all pro player. Like
I did know Travis Kelce before that.
Yeah, he is an elite, probably the best tight end of all time, which not many, Taylor Swift fans know. But yeah, he's an unbelievable player, very good looking guy as well. Been thirsted over for quite a while in the NFL circles, but yeah, I think it's a cool relationship. I don't really care about it, but yeah. Good on you, Tay-Tay.
All right, what else is going on? The Wallabies, they're officially out.
Ooh.
So that's shit.
That's a tough pill to swallow. Against Wales, I'm half Welsh, so...
Biggest loss
up the Wales
of all time for the Wallabies in a World Cup. And the first
embarrassing. They're absolutely embarrassing. I mean, I think we mentioned it at the last podcast. We had a bit of a rant about the state of Australian rugby. Essentially, we said, it's an absolute fucking shit show. Nobody cares about it. And it's bizarre how when we grew up as kids, the Wallabies was the best thing. In terms of playing for your national team, no one gave a fuck about the Socceroos. No one gave a fuck about the Olympics or whatever that shit. Like, no, it was about playing for the Wallabies. You were, Australia's representative if you played for the Wallabies. But now, I mean, does anyone know? I don't know any Wallabies. I mean, who plays for them?
Yeah, well...
I mean, obviously I'm not watching it.
I know a few, but, like, obviously not as well known as they used to be, the players, for sure. And, like, rightly so, they suck. So why would you want to know them? But I think the main criticism is coming on Eddie Jones for absolutely fucking it. But
I don't think it... Like, the Hooper decision was obviously a mistake.
Well, Foley, Cooper, Hooper, he left out a lot of... James O'Connor, like a lot of guys we probably could have used. And then I don't know. He just seems like an idiot. He said, about Wales, they're this shit little country with 3 million people.
They're better than you at rugby, though, aren't they?
And he was like, he guaranteed us that we would beat Wales the week before, and then we obviously lose by 40. So, look, I'm ready to see him go. I think he's had, a month in the
That's such a bad decision.
Apparently he was also meeting with Japan a few days before the World Cup started about a job with them. So,
well, look, I think the thing with Eddie Jones is didn't he coach Japan? Isn't that how he got back into the limelight? Because he coached Japan at the last World Cup, and he did not the last, but the World Cup before, and then did well, and had a shock, win against South Africa, I think it was, and then got the England job. Personally, I think he's a really good head coach. I think in terms of what Australia needs is a guy that can develop young players, and that's what he can do. I mean, you look at the England team; the way he rebuilt that team essentially, and just played the young guys and got to a World Cup final against South Africa was tremendous from him. And obviously, he lost in the key moments and didn't pull up great in terms of results in terms of the end of his tenure, but I think it would be rough and a really bad decision for Australia to go back on it. You've just got to... I hate to quote Arsenal fans, but you've got to just trust the process.
Or Philly fans.
Yeah. You just got to trust the process.
Fuck the process. You can't be...
I know, but
shit as
if you put all your chips into Eddie Jones and... you don't do that because you want guaranteed World Cup results. You do that because you are in dire need of someone to develop the shitty talent you have. And if you want someone to develop the talent that you have, you've got to have faith in them that they're going to do that over the long run and not over, a 3-month period.
I don't know, mate. Look, you'd want the 3 months to start off a bit better than this.
I'm not a fan of Australian rugby, so I'm not going to, sit here and say that I'm the most, I'm the most knowledgeable about the situation and I know what's best. I obviously don't, but from a personal perspective, based on what he did for England, I think you need someone that's going to develop the young players, especially with the state of rugby, especially with the amount of young players that he's bringing Sawali over. He's going to bring...
Allegedly.
Well, I mean, not allegedly. It's pretty nailed on, mate.
Well, he wants a backflip, apparently, so...
I don't think so. I think that's a pretty locked-in contract, but yeah, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, well, look, I want to see him go. He sucks, so...
But yeah, I mean, I completely understand if you... completely agree if you're upset with Eddie at this point, if you Australian fans are not happy and want results, I get that. And you have every right to have that. But if you want what's best for your young talent and in terms of being ready for the next World Cup, you can sack him before the next World Cup, but let him develop the young players. Let him have an arm around their shoulder. Let him do that.
It sounds like he's a dictator from all accounts, but...
Well, that's what some young players need.
Yeah, I guess. Thanks, Gandhi, for the words of wisdom there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Don't get that every day.
Last little thing, ODI World Cup, that's starting next week. Any thoughts on that?
Well, England will win. That's my main thoughts. They spanked... Without rain, I mean, they were... Did you see that against Ireland, what they were doing? They were literally averaging 10 runs and over in an ODI match.
Yeah, the scores have gone up crazily. Like, I've seen India playing Australia, and both teams are getting like 350 plus, like it's nothing. And it used to be 300 used to be a monster score, and now 300 is almost unders. So...
Well, yeah, Bazball is in full effect, and you got to love it, mate. You got to love Bazball.
But it's just so disheartening for the bowlers. They just get smashed every game.
Who gives a fuck about bowlers, mate? It's all about batting.
Well, you need bowlers for the sport.
Yeah, but, I mean, who cares? You need good batting. That's what you need. That's what's entertaining. So, yeah, I think England are probably the favourites at this point, and they should be.
I think the one interesting thing about it is the format of the tournament, which is there's 10 teams, and they just all play each other, and then the top 4 go through to semis. So it's like a league format in a World Cup.
I don't hate that.
Actually, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's the best performing team. There's no sort of skewed team based on luck of groups and that. So I don't hate that. It's obviously not as complicated as some of the fucking knockout tournaments we've seen lately. Jesus Christ. It's been annoying to watch.
Look at you, FIBA.
Yeah, good job, mate. No one knew what the fuck was going on until like the semis. So
yeah,
good job. But yeah, I'm a bit sort of nervous. Obviously, we want to retain the World Cup title and hopefully, good old... I don't know if Ben Stokes, he retired and then he unretired. I don't know what...
From ODIs?
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know if he's playing in the World Cup or if that he was just he just felt like a run out in a random ODI match. But yeah, he retired from the team and then I saw him hit 100, so I don't know what the fuck's going on. But yeah, hopefully, our batting can carry us and our bowling isn't shit enough where we get spanked. So yeah, are you going to be tuning in? Where is it? Is it in India?
In India.
Yeah. What's the time difference?
I don't know, but these Australia-India games have been on at like 6 o'clock, so that's all right.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like the Rugby World Cup where it's just ridiculous. No way I'm going to watch rugby at 3 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, I'm perplexed and intrigued, to say the least.
Yeah. Hopefully Aussies go well. Obviously, Travis Head is the one guy under an injury cloud at the moment, but I think they're still going to bring him and hope that he can be fit at some point. But yeah, I mean... I think squads are looking good. Obviously, it's England, India, Australia, I don't know, South Africa maybe, that are probably the main contenders.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's about it. Anything else you want to talk about?
I mean, no, not really. The UFC, there's not much to talk about. Is a bit of a ball fest, the last fight. I mean, the guy that was bringing a Bible into the fuck whatever you're doing,
funny.
bro. He was on like I've only seen him like from one clip before, and he was on like a Theo Von podcast.
Bryce Mitchell, yeah.
And he was essentially saying if he gets into a street fight, he's going to kill the guy. So
he's another one of those crazy guys.
Good on you, buddy. Keep going. So yeah, good on you. And nothing really to talk about the UFC, but yeah, I hope you watch the. It's going to obviously the AFL Grand Final as well. This weekend, so big weekend for Australian sports, and hopefully the Brizzy Broncos. I mean, I can't believe I'm fucking supporting the Broncos, but hopefully they come out on top, and it will make my weekend just little bit better.
Yeah, well, they probably won't. So,
oh yeah,
up the Panthers, up the Riff. Let's go. Thanks for watching.